reviewees, and welcome back to our video lesson series on the art of critical thinking. In our previous lesson, we explored the fascinating world of reasoning. Today, we're taking a step forward in our intellectual journey as we delve into another lesson and learn more about deductive logic. So what do we mean by deductive logic? Deduction is the process of reasoning in which we conclude from a general law or principle to a particular instance falling under the general law or principle. Deduction is a fundamental process of reasoning where we draw specific conclusions from broader general laws or principles. It involves applying established rules or premises to arrive at a particular instance that falls within the scope of those rules. Deductive reasoning plays a crucial role in problem solving and decision making, providing a structured and reliable means of reaching sound conclusions based on established principles. An inference is deductively valid if and only if there is no possible situation in which all the premises are true and the conclusion is false. In other words, a deductively valid argument guarantees that if the premises are true, the conclusion must also be true, irrespective of the specific content of the argument. This concept is foundational in logic and critical thinking, as it ensures the soundness and reliability of reasoning based on established principles and premises. Inference. Inference is a process by which one proposition is arrived at and affirmed on the basis of some other proposition or propositions. Inference may be immediate if only one premise is relied upon, or mediate if more than one premise is relied upon. Essentially, inferences are about recognizing the implications of statements and distinguishing what a statement implies and what it does not. The distinction is fundamental to the field of logic, where the ability to discern valid and reliable implications plays a crucial role in constructing sound arguments and making logical decisions. Inferences are implications, and part of logic is recognizing what a statement implies and what it doesn't. Now, let us familiarize the four key components of deductive logic. The first one is what we call the premises, in which we have already tackled in the previous lesson. So again, premises are the initial statements or propositions that serve as the starting point for a deductive argument. Premises are assumed to be true for the sake of the argument. Premises are the foundational elements of a deductive argument, representing the initial statements or propositions from which a conclusion is derived. They are considered true within the context of the argument, even if they might not be universally true. They provide the necessary support to ensure that the conclusion drawn from them is both logical and trustworthy. Next is the conclusion. The conclusion is the statement that is derived from the premises using deductive reasoning. It represents the logical consequence of the premises. So it is the statement that logically follows from the given premises, and it serves as the result or final point of a deductive argument. In deductive reasoning, the conclusion is intended to be a logical consequence of the premises, and if the argument is structured correctly, it should be irrefutable when the premises are true. The third one is validity. Validity is a critical concept in deductive logic. An argument is considered valid when the conclusion necessarily follows the premises. In other words, if the premises are true, the conclusion must also be true. Validity is the hallmark of sound deductive reasoning. This principle ensures the reliability of deductive reasoning and distinguishes it from mere probability or plausibility. In the realm of logic, validity is the gold standard for assessing the strength of an argument, emphasizing the need for airtight connections between premises and conclusion. And finally, the soundness. A deductive argument is considered sound when it is not only valid but also has true premises. In other words, a sound argument is one in which both the reasoning process and the factual accuracy of the premises are assured. In essence, a sound argument ensures both a logical and factual foundation. This distinction is vital because it guarantees that not only is the reasoning process flawless, but the information on which the argument built is also accurate and reliable. Let us move on to the types of deductive reasoning. The three types of deductive reasoning are conditioned reasoning, categorical reasoning, and linear reasoning. Conditioned reasoning is the reasoning tied down by some specific condition. For example, if there is a solar eclipse, the street will be dark. There is a solar eclipse, the streets are dark. In the example provided, the condition is a solar eclipse. The argument establishes that if a solar eclipse occurs, the specific condition, the streets will be dark. Since the premise states that there is a solar eclipse, the condition is met, the conclusion logically follows the streets are indeed dark. Conditioned reasoning is a structured form of deductive reasoning that allows us to make inferences based on the fulfillment of particular conditions. While the categorical reasoning is a type of reasoning based on some categorical statements. For example, all robins are birds. All birds lay eggs. All robins lay eggs. Categorical reasoning is a form of deductive reasoning that relies on categorical statements about the relationship between categories or groups. In the given example, we start with the categorical statement, all robins are birds, and another statement, all birds lay eggs. From these premises, we can logically deduce the conclusion, all robins lay eggs. Categorical reasoning is a structured way of drawing conclusions about specific members of a category based on general categorical principles, making it a fundamental element of deductive logic. The last type of deductive reasoning is linear reasoning. This type of reasoning involves straightforward relationships among elements. For example, if Ram is taller than Mohan and Mohan is taller than Sohan, Ram is the tallest. Linear reasoning is a form of deductive reasoning characterized by straightforward and linear relationships among elements. In the given example, the reasoning is built upon the clear premises that Ram is taller than Mohan and Mohan is taller than Sohan. This type of reasoning allows us to make a straightforward and logical conclusion that Ram is the tallest among the individuals in question. Linear reasoning is the fundamental aspect of deductive logic, particularly useful when establishing conclusions based on direct and easily discernible relationships. To end this lesson, here is an example of deductive logic. This example illustrates a deductive syllogism in which the major premise, all dogs are animals, and the minor premise, all animals are sentient, combine to form a logical and valid conclusion, therefore, all dogs are sentient. The argument follows a classic structure and adheres to the principles of deductive reasoning, where the conclusion necessarily flows from the premises. It highlights how deductions can be made by recognizing categorical relationships, drawing logical conclusions based on them. In this case, affirming the sentience of dogs based on their classification as animals. As we conclude our lesson on deductive logic, I hope you've gained a deeper appreciation for the structure it brings to your thinking. In our next video, we will shift gears and return to the world of inductive reasoning. We'll see you in the next lesson and keep those mental gears turning.